I have achieved success in numerous murders of women over 50 years. God made me this way, so why should I ask for forgiveness? God knew everything I did. In today's video, I present a story that easily surpasses any fiction, that of a killer whose only weapon was his own body. His modus operandi proved undetectable for decades. Samuel Little, at 79, confessed to committing 93 murders, making him the greatest serial killer in the history of the United States. I want to make it clear that we do not condone the sensationalization of criminals. Our goal is to report succinctly and organize the facts committed by the greatest serial killers in history. The information in this account is based on official documents. Samuel Little was born on June 7, 1940, in Reynolds, Georgia. Little is known about his childhood, with contradictory statements about his mother. He claims she was a sex worker, but there is conflicting information, including a supposed census describing her as a domestic worker. Regardless, his birth occurred in a tumultuous setting, and his childhood may have influenced his psychological profile as a murderer. Since adolescence, in the late 50s, when he dropped out of school and left Ohio, Little became a nomad, accumulating criminal records. In the 1960s, he was first arrested at 21 for burglary, a crime he had been accused of 4 years earlier. He served a 3-year sentence and, upon release, continued to commit crimes. By 1975, he had been arrested over 5 times for kidnapping, rape, and armed robbery. Little escaped 2 murder convictions before his final conviction. Even without known family ties, reports suggest the presence of a possible girlfriend, Erling Jean Dorsey, whom he met in prison in 1971. Jean and Little became inseparable, traveling the country committing crimes together. Little's modus operandi was systematic. He would lure his victims from the streets or bars, offering them a ride. Once secure, he would act violently, often resulting in strangulation. The victims, predominantly black women, drug users, and homeless sex workers, had very little chance of defense against his strong physique. Little, a former boxer, acted with extreme violence, breaking a victim's spinal column. His method involved disposing of the bodies in isolated locations, such as rivers, swamps, and abandoned areas. Operating in various American states, his actions had sexual motivation, possibly related to his tumultuous childhood. Although Little confessed to strangling to death 93 women, the FBI confirms the number of victims to be 50 so far. Many cases remain unconnected as the victims were typically marginalized, complicating resolution. Little was finally arrested in 2012 for drug involvement, and his DNA was linked to 3 strangled women in Los Angeles in the 1980s. In 2014, he was sentenced to 3 life imprisonments. The change in his behavior, including the confessions, can be attributed to personal reflection, perhaps due to advancing age. In 2018, his DNA was handed over to the FBI, resulting in several matches in cases nationwide. A Texas agent, specializing in serial killers, obtained Little's confession in an unsolved case for 24 years. Currently, Little lives in a wheelchair in prison, facing heart problems and diabetes. This is the case of Samuel Little, the greatest serial killer in American history to date. The story reminds us that we must always be aware of the madness that can exist around us. Thank you for watching. Check out the other videos on the channel.